Welcome to a very special story. Today I will take you into the life of a boy who had nothing but silence and turned it into something more valuable than gold. The boy who turned silence into gold. In a small village where the roads were made of mud and the houses were made of clay, lived a boy named Arav. He was just 13 years old, but his eyes looked much older. He always wore the same faded blue sweater and a pair of shoes that had more holes than cloth. Arav was known in the village not for anything great, but for his silence. He did not speak. Not one word. Not to his neighbors, not in school, and not even to the other children. The villagers called him Mute Boy. No one knew why he was so quiet. Some thought something was wrong with his tongue. Others believed he had a bad past that had stolen his words. But the truth was simple. Arav could speak. He just chose not to. Arav lived with his grandfather, an old shoemaker named Dadaji. They lived in a small, one-room house at the edge of the village, next to a river that flowed like a quiet song. Dadaji was kind and wise. His hands were rough from years of working with leather, and his back was bent from sitting all day, fixing shoes. But his heart was strong, and his love for Arav was deep. Every morning, Arav would wake up early. He would clean the house, fill water from the well, and prepare a simple breakfast, usually dry bread and tea. After that, he helped Dadaji at the small shoe repair stall beside the road. He would sit on a stool, quietly handing tools and glue to his grandfather. People would come with broken shoes and leave with smiling faces, happy with Dadaji's work. Children from the village would run around playing, laughing, shouting. But Arav always stood apart. They teased him. "Hey, Mute Boy," they would laugh. "Say something. Are you scared? Are you dumb?" Arav never answered. He would look away or just smile politely. But inside, his heart broke a little every time. Despite everything, he never showed anger. He never cried in front of anyone. But at night, when everyone was asleep, Arav would climb up the small hill behind the house and sit under a tree. He would look at the stars and think about a world where he could speak, where people listened to him, where he was not invisible. One evening, something new happened in the village. A stranger arrived. He was tall and had a thick black beard, and he carried a long wooden stick and a large bag on his back. He wore a long coat and walked with a soft smile. The villagers gathered around him with curiosity. "I am a storyteller," the man said, standing in the center of the village square. "I travel from place to place, telling stories to those who are ready to listen." That night, everyone came to the square to hear him speak. Even people from nearby villages walked for miles to attend. A small stage was made from wooden boxes. The storyteller stood tall under a lamp. Arav sat in the back, hiding behind a tree, watching silently. The storyteller began, "Once upon a time, in a kingdom far away." His voice was deep and smooth, like flowing honey. His hands danced in the air. His face changed expressions like magic, and his words painted pictures in the minds of everyone listening. Arav had never heard anything like this before. The world around him disappeared. He was no longer in his village. He was inside the story. He saw the prince, the dragon, the mountains, the storm, all through the storyteller's words. His heart beat faster. His eyes filled with light, and for the first time in many years, Arav felt something inside him stir, a spark. When the story ended, the crowd clapped and cheered. The storyteller bowed and said, "Every person has a story. Every voice matters, even the quiet ones, especially the quiet ones." His eyes scanned the crowd and stopped on Arav for a moment. Arav looked away quickly, but the words stayed with him. That night, Arav did not sleep. He pulled out an old notebook his grandfather had given him long ago. It had empty pages and a broken cover. He took a pencil and began to draw. He didn't write words. He drew pictures. He drew the storyteller. He drew the dragon. He drew how he felt inside. From that day on, Arav began to draw every night. He drew people and trees, pain and joy, fear and hope. His drawings were full of life, color, and feelings. He found peace in them. He didn't need words. His pencil spoke for him. One morning, Dadaji noticed the notebook. He flipped through the pages and stopped. His eyes grew wide. "Arav," he whispered, "these are beautiful. This is your voice." He took the notebook to the village shop and pinned a few drawings on the wall. People came to see them. At first, they were surprised. "Mute boy made this?" they asked. Slowly, the village began to see Arav in a new light. One day, a school teacher from the town nearby visited the village. She saw Arav's drawings and was amazed. "These need to be shown in the city," she said. She invited Arav to an art show that was happening in the town next month. Arav had never left the village. He had never even seen a car up close. But Dadaji held his hand and said, "Let's go together." When they reached the town, Arav was scared. The buildings were tall. The roads were noisy. People walked fast and talked loudly. But when they entered the art gallery, everything became quiet again. Arav's drawings were displayed on the walls. People walked around, looking, pointing, talking softly. Some smiled. Some had tears in their eyes. A woman held his hand and said, "Thank you. Your art touched my heart." Then a news reporter came. He had a big camera and a notepad. He asked, "Why don't you speak?" Arav looked at him for a long moment. Then, for the first time in many years, he opened his mouth and said a single word: "Listen." That one word was louder than any speech. It became the headline in the town newspaper the next day: "The boy who speaks through art." After that, many things changed. Arav was invited to schools, galleries, and art programs. He met other children who were quiet, scared, or different. He started talking to them, not always with words, but through drawing and silence. Years passed. Arav grew up. His art became famous across the country. He didn't just draw stories. He began making short films, writing picture books, and teaching children. He opened an art school called The Voice Within. It was a place where kids could come and express their feelings through painting, music, stories, or silence. At the opening ceremony of the school, Arav stood in front of hundreds of people. Cameras were flashing. The mic was in front of him. He smiled and began to speak. "I was once the boy who never spoke," he said. "People called me Mute Boy. They thought I was broken. But I was not. I just needed to be heard in a different way. Not every voice makes noise. Some voices are silent, but powerful." He paused, then continued, "I found my voice in art. I found my courage in silence. And I found love in the people who believed in me. If you are listening to this today and feel unseen, unheard, or unloved, remember this: you are not alone. Your silence has value. Your voice matters, even if it's quiet." The crowd stood and clapped for a long time. Some had tears in their eyes. Dadaji, now old and weak, sat in a wheelchair near the stage, smiling proudly. That night, as Arav looked at the stars from the rooftop of his school, he remembered the small village, the dusty roads, the tree on the hill, the storyteller's voice, and the first time he drew with his heart. He whispered to the wind, "Thank you." And in that moment, Arav knew he had turned his silence into something greater than gold. He had turned it into hope. The end.